The no man's land. When people go in, the only thing that comes back out are stories of death and misery. Unfortunately, we have to go through that no man's land. Here are our options. Unlawful folk are said to be cast out beyond the borders of MOROU and into the no man's land. There you'll scrounge for everything that will sparkle and shine and eventually perish pitifully. It's full of mercenaries and lawless folk like scavengers and spies and bandits, thieves. People who don't want to get found and think it's a good idea go to the no man's land, which is not a good idea. When people go in, the only thing that comes back out are stories of death and misery. Unfortunately, in order to get to MOROU, our dream destination, we have to go through that no man's land. So what to do? Last week you voted and decided that we should become airship captains when we go to MOROU. But we can't become that if we're not there. So this week we're going to decide what route we're going to take to arrive there. Some of them are really dangerous, others really expensive. Whatever you choose, it will affect the storyline. Here are our options. Here's the clear winner for the most comfortable way to travel. Craft. Takes only 1 to 3 days up in the air depending on the wind. Very comfortable, marginal risk of being attacked by pirates. Skilled pilots would be great if the prices wouldn't be so egregious. Let me break it down. All right. We are both working in the summer season, earning each 3 mud metal cores a day. Actually, let me work this out per soul. So 21 mud cores for each week, which is 1 rose gold and 2 shines, although there's 2 shines we use to eat. So as of now, we have 95 mud metal cores, each of us. So how much do you think they're going to charge us? 350 mud metal cores. That's two white golds and 7 rose gold cores. We would have to work more than 1 moon cycle every single day to be able to just afford to go. I know what you're going to say. It has a tavern aboard, it has very comfortable bunk beds. You just go to the Valomar area port and get a ticket. There's no risk there. You just fly right past the no man's land. But is it really worth delaying this journey for the whole summer? That's just a journey. We still have to make our way in MOROU, so I don't know. You tell me. I heard things about the no man's land. When people go in, only the stories of their death or pieces of their body come back out. This is why we should go around. And what better way to do that than with a boat? New proposal. There's an ocean between Helvetia and MOROU that connects both of them that people have been sailing for 1,000 years. It's the same route our people came here through in the Age of Resettlement. I read a book about it that mentioned that there were plenty of deadly beasts in the water. Fortunately for us, the Guild of Heroes then hunted them down in the Age of Honor. Although I have inquired with some folks, some sailors, and some of them say they're still around. They're hiding below the surface. And one day, then again, few wrecks have been sighted in the last couple of years. And there are thousands of ships traveling all the time between the White Haven waters up to Inoria. So I really think the chances are quite all right. And on top of that, our journey would only be brief. I've heard that it's 6 days until Elunat. We could go from Valomar port essentially anywhere. Terra, Elunat, Felswater, wherever our heart desires. The only problem would be there are Steinhansa people that are driving these oceans. They don't like Helvetians very much. If you run into them, we don't know what will happen. And unfortunately, this also weighs a bit on our purse. It's gonna be 210 mud cores. This is 1 white gold and 7 rose golds, or more than 2 moons of labor. I'm weighing right now 210 for the sea route versus 350 for the air route. I want to say air route bunks over hammocks, naturally. If we can't afford a registered flight, what about an unregistered one? Flying the unfriendly skies in an unregistered airship, which is probably going to be the death of me. Comfortable, safe, legal, which would also mean maybe an unregistered pilot. But from what I've heard, this can be between 110 and 140 cores. If the pilot is on the rookie side though, we could get into a storm. Or he would fly low and get lost in the terrain and we crash. Or, and that's my favorite, walk riders from the hand come in and hijack us, and because we are some nobody scoundrel airship, nobody would care, and they would bring us to the hand clan's territory, and there we would serve as a steak for some clan chief, which, you know, is just a great way to go. Besides, these fly-by-night boys, literally, they fly at night, can be real chancers. They like to anchor above forests or fly off from makeshift airfields, sometimes too low, if you catch my drift. But on the bright side, we would be there fast, and we would have a great view as the ship goes down. What is life without a bit of adventure and a good death? Hey, you! You want to know how Arium crafts work? We left you a link in the comments. We haven't discussed how to get to MOROU by foot yet. And actually, this is the least expensive option so far, with 110 mud cores. The only catch, it's a 2-week journey. 2 weeks there, and then 2 weeks waiting for the immigration office to decide if your name sounds like a curse. And of course, then there's the one day where you take the convoy through the no man's land, and 2 or 3 if you're running into some sort of trouble. Don't forget to read the fine print. It's a military caravan. That's how dangerous it is. When you go in, you have forested areas to the left and right, foul lands of torment. Not next to the road, but you'll get bandit camps and lost taverns, and every now and then you can run into sadists who kill just for bumping into you. I heard this one thing from a sign-up officer at the border. Listen to this. One time, a lad showed up who claimed to flee the Hand clans. He had a ragged cloak, haunted eyes. It was a full performance. They let him into the convoy, and then they heard 2 forts in. He was actually a prince with a price on his head that was high enough to feed the whole Xandorian legion. And then, through mysterious circumstances, he didn't make it to the 3rd fort. You want to stay in the convoy, because for what it's worth, the convoy is a rolling fortress. Steel-plated knights, armored wagons, Vork riders. You'd have legion ships ahead with slingshot cannons trained to the ground. And then there's a fort every hour or so, which means that if the convoy ever gets attacked, they hunker down and one of the Vork riders flies and calls them, and then they have a whole dragoon, a whole cavalry detachment. You start the journey in the morning in silence with fog over the ground, and then you slowly move. Every mile feels hard won, every fort is a relief, but nothing really eases the soul until you arrive at the gates of MOROU, beyond the river that is probably covered in fog, at least in my mind. It's really quite attainable, but you have to get your papers in order. No onboarding, no ride. And if you try to sneak in, let's just say the forest does its own background check. There's a final option for how we could travel to MOROU. I wager you're probably not gonna like it. It involves going through the no man's land and the haunting. Hold your thought, hear me out. To start off, we would need to look a bit scruffed to blend in with the scoundrels of the no man's land. And we have to look like nobody should mess with us. Naturally, we need to know a couple of people in the no man's land, someone we can trust, a contact. I actually met somebody who was in the no man's land. Granted, he was fleeing from it, but yeah, experience is experience. Once you reach the border, you can essentially go straight in. There's not really any regulation, nobody cares. Your freedom is pretty cheap. If we manage to go through the no man's land unseen, we have successfully completed stage 1. It'll take us about 3 weeks, maybe 4 if we run into some trouble, and it's really cheap. It's all in all 60 mud cores for each of us. And that includes the travel gear and the nutrient rods for the way, and also some torches. Speaking of torches, the dangerous part is when we get out of the no man's land. I mentioned going through the haunting. Honestly, I didn't really consider it, because you go down into the earth and get close to the realm of the dark goddess, and one must not tempt fate. But if we would be to do it, this is how we would go. We will go through the no man's land, we would arrive at a cave. We would go in, there would be a tunnel. The tunnel would consist of giant roots and steep cliffs and dead thickets. We would have to climb with precision and tread carefully. And it is even said that the maze below the ground actually shifts and changes over time. You have to be silent and you can't draw attention to yourself, because the creatures which live down there in the haunting caves are always hungry, and they will devour not just your body but also your soul. So that's not great. We should have guides and maps, we should figure out where the entries and exits are for the tunnels, and we should definitely bring a spear. Only few people survive these journeys, but naturally we would be better prepared than they were. What do you think? Should we go by air, by foot, by sea? Cheap, expensive, slow, fast? Vote now. Go to the link in the video description and choose your preferred option. In other news, MOROU is not just a setting for this series, but also for our upcoming movie. It's gonna be a 25-minute live-action movie and we already shot it. If you want to find out more, go to the link in the video description. Are you ready? Let's go tomorrow to MOROU. I apologize for what is about to follow. Our writer got hit in the head during jiu-jitsu practice. You know who we could become next year? Royalty. Sure, we might die if we... Speaking of adventurous, I'll fend off the umbrals because I know how it's done. You know, they come at you and you go with your spear and you go like this, bam, take the sword. Sorry you had to see that.